Welcome back to the quest where TNS are unbeaten in 2.5 years, but we might have just got ourselves a title race. Yes, TNS have blinked. They've drawn 3-3 with third place at the time, Airbus UK, to give us a little bit of a sniff of a title race. They almost dropped yet more points because going into stoppage time, they conceded in the 90th minute against Carnarvon, then Mata scored in the 92nd minute to give them a very last gasp winner. But I sense TNS might be starting to get a little bit tired. They've qualified for the Europa Conference League group phase, and they've got a lot of games. They've been playing the likes of Braga and Lens and Derry City and Molde, and that means that they've been packing a lot of games into a short space of time because they're still making progress in the cup competitions as well. I think they've just been knocked out of European competition, so their schedule might ease just a little, but it means that we have been able to capitalise somewhat. We're still even on points. Look at the way we've got a better goal difference than them, though. Neither of us have lost a single game this season. 2 of our 4 draws have come against TNS, and that has been the only game since our last episode that we have not won. You saw us beating Newtown 5-2 last time you were with us. Since then, we've beaten Connah's Quay, made progress in both cup competitions, setting up a semi-final in the League Cup and a quarter-final against TNS in the Welsh Cup. We've also beaten Cardiff Met, Bala, Peñabont, Colwyn Bay, Airbus, Carnarvon, Pontypridd and Newtown in our most recent game, and we've brought you back for a fixture today against Carmarthen to see whether we can keep up the relentless pace that we've been setting at the summit of the table. However, we've brought you back for a couple of different reasons today, and one of them is because of a comment after our most recent video by Wolftrax asking us to have a look at where we might move to next if we decide that our time at Haverfordwest is up at the end of this season. Now, as Wolf acknowledged in the comments, obviously that is going to be somewhat dependent on what jobs become available, but it is always good in these journeyman careers to have a little bit of a strategy in play, and I think we want to try and jump into one of the leagues next time where we might be able to take charge of a club that could win a European trophy, probably the Conference League, or at least reach a European final. Now, we might not jump in straight away at the club that could go that far, but maybe at a league that produces the clubs that get that far. For example, Bulgaria could be an option for us. If we could get a job at a mid-table top flight side in Bulgaria, I don't know how ambitious that is. Somebody like maybe Lokomotiv Plovdiv. If we could start to gain some kind of reputation there, learn the language as well, then you never know. After a couple of seasons, the big guns of Levski or Ludogorets might just come a-calling. So Bulgaria is certainly one nation that I have on my radar, as is Croatia. I know that we're not going to get the Dinamo Zagreb job as our next employer, but maybe clubs like Gorica or Slaven Belupo or Istra, if we could get a job there, build a reputation in that nation, then maybe the bigger clubs might come calling in 18 months, maybe to 2 years. So Bulgaria and Croatia are certainly on my list, as is Czechia. Sparta and Slavia will obviously be beyond us, as would Victoria Pilsen, who've had great success in Europe in previous years, but look like they're struggling in mid-table. But these clubs that are towards the bottom end of the Czech top flight, maybe they might be realistic options for us, or teams where we might be able to gain a promotion to the Czech top flight might also be clubs that we could check out. Maybe teams like Dukla Prague might be big enough for us to take into the top division of Czech football, build a reputation there before moving on to pastures new once more. So there is certainly 3 leagues where I see myself potentially hunting for jobs next time at a club that might be a bit of a stepping stone to a larger side in that nation. And I'd also like your opinion as to what are the nations you think we might be able to find a club that would have the budgets and the resources to allow us to push deep into European competitions. Do you think Denmark is a contender? I don't know whether Finland would ever produce a European finalist. Certainly, nations like Gibraltar and Iceland would be very, very difficult, as would the Republic of Ireland and Latvia, certainly Northern Ireland as well. But what about Norway? Would we be able to take a Rosenborg or a Bodø Glimt, maybe even a Mulder, all the way to a European final? Or do you think that is too big an ask? And the other nation where I was thinking it certainly might be possible to take charge of a club that would be big enough to go all the way to a European final would be Switzerland. Basel, after all, reached a European semi-final in real life last season, so they could be a contender as well. And teams like Young Boys or maybe even Grasshoppers would be capable, I think, of going all the way to a European final. Not the Champions League, granted, but one of the other two competitions, possibly so. So let us know down in the comments which nations you think might be the ideal destinations for us to try and hunt for jobs for in our next move, in order to find a nation where we might be able to make it all the way to a European final. But for the remainder of today's episode, we're going to focus on another comment that we've had on one of our previous episodes, which was a surprising one when you give them my track record with this game, where they asked us to show a game in a little bit more detail, really highlighting every tactical change and every in-game piece of management that we use during the fixture. Now, regular viewers of this channel may well scoff and say this is not the person to be showing you what they do when they're trying to manage a game, but people have asked for it on more than one occasion, and what I lack in expertise, I more than make up for in longevity when it comes to playing Football Manager. So we're going to do exactly that for today's game. We're taking on Carmarthen Town, and we're playing the same side in back-to-back fixtures over the festive period. So I'm guessing they were one of our local rivals, which I thought might make it a good proposition to come back and show you exactly how I manage a game. Now, it's been made a little trickier today by the fact that our top striker, Oakley Cannoneer, has just got injured for a month and came off in our most recent victory. Now, in previous episodes, I questioned Cannoneer and thought maybe I'd potentially made a bit of a transfer market blunder, but he's been coming good recently. He's now got 13 goals in 19 games, and is going to be a big miss that we're going to have to try and navigate. We've got other players, though, who are absolutely purring right now. Thank you to Sean Paul down in the comments, who said, is Mather not performing as well this season because you've changed him from an attack duty to a support? Well, we've pumped him back up to an attack. He's still very hit and miss. He's still quite inconsistent. But over recent games, he has been back amongst the goals, scoring hat-tricks in 2 of the games we've had since the last episode. The assists have dried up, but at least he's contributing once more. Golding has been playing incredibly well recently. He is now up to 8 goals and 6 assists this season, but he cannot even hold a candle to the brightest, shiniest diamond in our side, Diamond Edwards, who is now up to a staggering 24 goal involvements in just 19 starts. I can't remember the last time I had a kitten purring as loudly as Diamond Edwards has been. Really become absolutely integral, not just in the assists, but in the valuable goals that he scores as well. Backed up by Harry Brook, who himself has got 7 goals and 8 assists from central midfield. We've got some really good players now, but we're going to need them today, because the first thing we need to address when managing this game is choosing who is going to come in as our backup striker. Now, the man that we have in the squad who's meant to be our second striker is Udoyan Akpan, who last season performed pretty well and got 11 goals in 28 games, but not all of those were starts. 13 of them were substitute appearances, but unfortunately, in 15 appearances, granted, all but 1 from the bench, they've yet to hit the back of the net this season. They've looked fairly good when they've come in on the right wing, but not so good when they have come in up front. Our other backup striker is the man that's like a son to me, Bobby Mack. But again, although we've not had any starts this season, we're also not finding the back of the net. So I'm very tempted to actually go with Kian Kinsella up front. They've not made a start either. 13 appearances from the bench, Most of them have been out on the left side when I've substituted Kinsella on for Mather, but at least Kian has scored a goal this season, 3 in fact. And I think in a desperate measure to try and find a second striker that can score, we're going to go with Kinsella. The reason I'm going to do that is twofold. Obviously, they've scored and the other two options haven't, but Kinsella can also go and play as the inside forward. And if I want to, I can easily rotate those after 20 minutes if the game is very quiet. And the Salford Messi can go and play as our striker instead. And in terms of getting close to Cannoneer in what they offer, Mather certainly does it better than Kinsella. I'm going to give Kinsella the nod as the striker, first of all, just so that Mather is in their favoured position, and with that link-up play with Pi, that Kinsella can easily rotate out there. So today, we're going to stick with the same 11 that played the last game, apart from Kinsella coming in, the Cannoneer. Now, I realise I'm probably not going to be most people's first choice to be explaining how they manage a game from, but as people have asked for it, let's keep it going. I've just given a team talk where I told the players that I expect them to win the game to keep our good run of form going, but it's not elicited too much of a response from our squad. Whenever I get that, I always try and just improve the body language by going into each position on the pitch and giving them a secondary team talk just to see if I can motivate any more of the players. We've been on such a good run recently that some of our players have started to show complacency in their body language, something I'm not too keen on. So I like to use these little individual positional talks just to keep the right body language in the players. I've told the midfielders and the defenders that I trust them to make a difference. With Kian Kinsella, I might even just dip into his individual talks and just see what the options are, because obviously he's not had a lot of game time this season. I think the best one for him is to go out there, have some fun and play without any pressure. And let's just see whether that is enough to get him involved in the game as we kick off. Okay, we are in good form, but we know that in this Welsh League, losing games is not an option. I think if we lose a game this season, we can't win the title, because I'm not expecting TNS to drop any points. I think our best chance is when we take on TNS again, when the league splits. I think that's our best chance of seeing them lose a game this season, because otherwise, I think they're going to go for a third season running undefeated. As we're trying to just explain how we manage games, by the way, we've made a pretty slow start to this one. We're in the 12th minute. We've had a free kick that's flown over the bar. Otherwise, we've not created much. So I'm going to wait and see how this highlight progresses. But if it doesn't lead to a goal from Golding, and he does slot the chance wide, I think I'm going to give an early shout, and I'm going to go with encourage to see whether that will just improve the body language of the players at the bottom of the screen and see whether that will spark them into life, because 2 shots, neither of them on target during the first 15 minutes or so, is not a great start. Now we've got a free kick. The Salford Messi is on it. It's gone deep into the box. But it's actually our opponents that try to launch a little counter-attack. We've got all of our players goal side again, but we've not emerged with the ball yet. And I think we might be about to face an attacking highlight. In fact, it's us that's robbed it. Golding makes his way into the box. He goes all the way to the keeper. He jinks inside. His shot is saved by the goalkeeper. In a moment, we still haven't taken the lead by 30. I'm going to change my shout out from encouragement to demanding more, because I like to be ahead at half time. Our right back Gamble has a header. That one is saved by the keeper. Golding has a free kick. That flicks off a defender and goes over the bar. A lot of our chances are off target at the moment, which is another reason I'm going to demand more. We send another corner into the box. Our XG is already 1. We hit the 30-minute mark and nothing is happening. So we're going to ask the players just to up their game a little. Also, at about this time, I start checking the condition of the players just to start thinking early who I might be substituting in the second half. I'm already looking at Gamble as a player that might not make the full 90 as we go in against our rivals at halftime. They've not had a shot yet, but we are not ahead. So I might have a look at what changes I can make at half time. So the obvious change that sprung to mind was taking Kinsella off, because we're tied at 0-0. We haven't scored yet. But actually, Kinsella is the only player in the starting 11 who's averaging a 7 or higher. So I'm not going to make that change yet, at least. Neither am I going to rotate Kinsella with Mather yet, because Kinsella's playing well as the striker. The change I will make, though, is in the team talk. Rather than just trying to encourage the players, I'm actually going to be critical of them at half time. I'm going to point the finger and say, I don't like what I saw from this side. Everybody is inspired apart from Brook, Golding and Kinsella. So again, I'm going to go into the individual team talks of Golding and Brook, and I'm going to ask a little bit more of them. I'm going to say they've got the ability to make the real difference. Go out there and do it. That's helped with Brook. It's elicited nothing from Golding. I'm also going to check my options with Kinsella, although they're playing very well at the moment. I might even just give them some more praise. Keep going. You've got the ability to make a difference. Do you know what? I'm going to say, keep up the good work. You're playing brilliantly. They're very motivated now. Maybe that might just help them get on the end of a chance. I'm never really sure how much of an impact these team talks and the body language has on the players. Hopefully, quite a bit, given how well that halftime team talk went. Pi wins the ball back for us at the start of the second half. It does not lead to a highlight. Again, I'm already keeping an eye on the condition, and we could do with a goal fairly soon. Otherwise, this could be a nervy encounter for us. Monlouis gets the ball to Jonathan Pi, to Tom Holland, Spider-Man himself. We're playing possession football at the back. Now we need to try and get the ball to Diamond Edwards, because they are the player that keeps making things happen for us. We've tried to do that with a ball down the line. It's not worked. We've recycled it in the middle of the park. Here's Pi, our other outlet over on the left. Got the ball, played a little 1-2 with Savage. It's into the Salford Messi. The shot is taken. It's charged down. They are defending their 6-yard box very, very well. But now we do have a bit of a problem. And because I'm trying to show you how I manage games, negative things are happening for me to try and deal with. The Salford Messi has now picked up an injury. So that means Kinsella is going to have to go out there and play out wide. And then we've got 3 options from the bench. Another one we could throw into the mix is Lloyd Marsh Hughes, who's played most games for us as a central midfielder because they're not very quick. They're on their way back from injury, but also unhappy about the amount of game time that they're getting. But they're not going to get on here. The person I'm going to go with is Akpan. They're going to go as a poacher. No, I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to ask them to be an advanced forward instead. We're at 55 minutes now. If we've not scored by 65, I am really starting to worry. After this highlight, I think I'll put another shout out. Holland's on the ball for us here. Savage has got it now into the midfield to Brook. Some of our big players have not really come to the fore yet. Here's Edwards, a man that can make a difference. Played a ball into the box twice. Kinsella gets on the end of it. They've had a header. It's gone over the bar. We will pause. We'll shout. I'm going to go back to encourage this time as we go in search of a goal. TNS are 2-0 up in their game. We are labouring a little in ours, as often happens when it is a game against your rivals. Savage is on the ball for us now into the midfield. Holland, Brook, over the top 4. Akpan. They've had a sight of goal. Lily Allen clutches it pretty easily. At about 70 minutes, I think I'm going to have to go attacking. And in fact, we're at that point now. I'm going to demand more. I'm going to go up to attacking. And I'm also going to check the fitness of players that we've got on the pitch. Gamble I didn't think would see out the game, so we're going to bring Bevan on. Golding is nervous and playing poorly, and I want to take Golding off. They're one of our better players. So what I will do instead is change the role that they're playing so that I don't have too many players all on an attack duty in the front 4. We'll drop Kinsella back to being a support. We'll also try Edwards as being a support to see whether they can deliver into the box a little bit earlier on. I'm also going to throw on hit early crosses just to see if we can disrupt their defence a little. Because I've now got a support duty over on the left up front, I can also ask Pi to try and rampage forward even more to see whether they can overlap and deliver some balls for us. It does look, though, like we might only draw this game, which is going to be a bit of a disappointment considering TNS blinked in the game they had before last. But we might have just been saved. Edwards gets to the byline. They jink their way into the box. They pull the ball back. And it looks like Golding, as the shadow striker that's just got on the end of the chance, I don't think changing their role will be the reason that they've got further into the box. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people can tell me down in the comments. But that is certainly a very welcome goal. Now, if I wasn't talking to the camera, I would probably have paused the game straight after that goal and gone back down to being positive rather than attacking, because we have to win this game 1-0. I will take it. I didn't have time to make that change. Now our opponents are coming forward once more. We've still got 15 minutes left, so plenty of time for Carmarthen to come back into the game. They've got impatient, launched a long ball forward, which we've seen off, and now we're on the counter, and it is Edwards. This is the magic man. He makes everything happen. Akpan has a shot. It reflects back to him, and he has managed to fire his second chance into the net. And now we will just settle the game down onto positive. Brook to Akpan. Actually wasn't a shot. He just miscontrolled it. It bounced back to him off the defender's heels, and then he fires it home, and we've managed to get that second goal that we needed, let's be honest. And we can try and finish this game off by just introducing as many fresh legs as we can. O'Reilly is going to be our backup left back. They're coming on. Tom Holland is playing poorly, so we'll get Patrick Hickey on in their place, and then we'll leave it until the last 5 minutes. And if we've still got another opportunity to make a substitution, we will throw some more fresh legs on as well, possibly in one of the attacking positions. Our opponents are not quietening down, though. Here's Webber. They've had a shot from a long way out. Beach, well, let's say he had it covered, but they're still interested. They've only had 2 shots the entire game. We're now just going to try and close this game down. So even though we are top of the table, I am not too proud to put some time wasting on. I'm also going to work the ball into the box rather than hitting the early crosses. So on about 89 minutes, I'm going to take that time wasting all the way up as far as it will go. And if we have to settle for a 2-0 win, well, that will at least match what TNS have managed to lay down as a marker this afternoon as well. Maybe we'll get a third. We've got plenty of injury time. Edwards is in again. Akpan is close in on the goalkeeper. I think they were offside as we fire home a third. It's disallowed. We've got an XG of 3.14. Not great. We had an XG above a 5 in our last game. We are not quite matching our XGs with the number of goals that we're managing to score in our matches. As long as we're winning them, that's not too much of a concern, I guess. I would like to be a little bit more ruthless, and losing Cannoneer certainly is not going to help with that. Akpan comes off the bench, gets an important goal and an average rating above a 7. Our other big players all performed for us today. Beach, Savage, Monlouis, Brook, Edwards and Golding. Those are our most important players. The only one that did not get above a 7 is Mather, who came off injured. I guess we best check how bad that injury is going to be. Yeah, pretty bad. 5 to 6 weeks minimum. That means that for the next month, we're going to have to try and keep winning games without Cannoneer, without Mather. Both of those are going to be very difficult tasks. By the time we come back, we're going to be at the business end of the season. And with these injuries, will we still be in a title race? Your guess is as good as mine.